Boxing Truth here, back with another video. Make sure to smash that like button, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Well, let's talk about it, man. Damn. Top Rank somehow was able to weasel their way in and somehow got involved in this fight despite Loma pulling out of negotiations and remaining in Ukraine. Top Rank now has a co-promotional deal with Lou DiBella to promote Haney's next couple of fights. Whether he wins or loses, they will be involved in Haney's career. You know, respect to Haney for, really sacrificing a lot to get this deal done. He's doing something a lot of American fighters would not do. Even fellow lightweights, Gervonta Tank Davis, he will never do this. Well, I'm not sure it's the smartest deal. On the outside looking in, I don't like that he agreed to a rematch in Australia. Whether that was a deal breaker or not, I'm not sure if the sacrifice warrants a rematch in Australia. But, he's betting on himself. He believes in himself. And I'm a little surprised his father green-lighted this deal, including a rematch in Australia. Maybe Bill actually does believe in Devin a lot more than I thought he did. But there's a lot of risks involved for Devin in this fight. He has to go to Australia. He has to be vaccinated. He has to beat George twice. He has to share his purses with two different promoters. But in the end, he's getting his shot. He believes he's going to win the fight. And he's going to be going in there with a very confident fighter in his absolute prime, who's a natural lightweight. And he's coming off the man who beat the man. He beat the man. He's the recognized lightweight champion. He's really the undisputed champion. Devin is a pride champion, whatever you want to call him. Secondary title holder, #1 contender. But this is where that belt really hurt him in this case. All Haney really had to do, his team is smart. They gotten him the bag, the DAZN bags. They've gotten him type of paydays for the type of opponents he's been fighting that he shouldn't have gotten. But, they took advantage. They got the DAZN bags, was able to not take a lot of risks. They was able to fight the washed Kambosos for 7-figure paydays and, even become a regular champion, not having to take the biggest risk. But now, over the past year, he's been taking more risks, but you can see the level he's at. And you really can't go into this fight with great confidence that Devin Haney's gonna, he's gonna go in there and steamroll a George Kambosos who's coming off the biggest victory. And he's gonna be very, very confident. And Devin's coming off a questionable decision. So Devin Haney messed up in one way. What he really should have did was become a mandatory. And he would have avoided all this nonsense. He wouldn't have had to sign a multi-fight deal with DiBella and Top Rank. If he became mandatory, he wouldn't have to agree to an immediate rematch with George Kambosos. And also by becoming a mandatory, he could have pushed for a purse bid and have a promoter or representative he trusts to outbid someone. But at the end of the day, he would have been in a better position, not having to fight a multi-fight deal, not having to go to Australia twice to beat him, and also a chance to fight on a different platform that he's more comfortable with, even a chance to bring the fight to America had his representative of their side won a purse bid. But because Haney's a whatever champion, he doesn't have that luxury. He's not a mandatory. This is really a voluntary defense of George Kambosos' titles, as a voluntary defense, voluntary challenger, it puts you at a lot of disadvantages. You got to agree to rematch clauses. You're gonna have to agree to multi-fight deals. You might have to agree to options. It's really the worst being a voluntary challenger. You got to agree to all this extra stuff. That's why it's the best becoming a mandatory challenger. It gives you a lot more power. It gives you power in negotiations of the fight. It can give you power on where the location of the fight is going to be set. It could even give you the power of avoiding rematch clauses if you choose to. If the guy's a huge name and you can make even a fortune in a rematch, then you can agree to it. But if it's a George Kambosos type guy, champion, who is, he's a champion, he's an undisputed champion, but he's not the biggest name out there. That's one of the reasons why you become a mandatory. In case you fight a champion who is not as big or as big as name as a Joshua or a Canelo. Of course, you're going to agree to rematch clauses with those guys. But with a George Kambosos type champion, you have to do your best to avoid a rematch clause. But in this case, Devin Haney just didn't have that luxury. He was coming into this fight as a voluntary challenger with a secondary title. He's not a mandatory, so he can't enforce that power in none of these negotiations. And as a result, he's going to have to really do a lot of work. He really sacrificed a lot to get this deal done. Respect to him. He believes in himself. But I think it's going to backfire, man. I'm not a big believer in Devin Haney. I never have been. I'm just not. I don't think he's that good. I've seen it. I've seen the level he's at his last two fights. He's a good fighter, but I don't think he's elite. And I don't think he's good enough or prepared enough or a big enough puncher to really be very confident that he pulls away in this fight. It's going to be hard to get a decision against a very confident Kambosos who's in awe of himself. He has great belief in himself. Doesn't see Haney as a tremendous threat. I mean, he's not a guy that you're going to get steamrolled by. Maybe you can get outboxed, but Haney's going to have to do more than that in this fight. It's going to be a different atmosphere. It's going to be a different setting. And he's going to have to do more than just throw punches and land on his opponent's glove. He's going to have to do some damage. It's not going to be home court advantage anymore. He's not going to be the A side in this fight. But, Haney agreed to the deal, and now we're getting a very good fight on June 5th. And if he wins, the gamble will have paid off. All he has to do is beat him again, and then a pay-per-view fight with Loma down the road. So in all, it's not, if he wins, it's not the worst deal. But if he loses, that's the reason why he lost. He's just not good enough, and that's my indication on the outside looking in. I expect George to defend his titles on home soil. It's a very competitive fight on paper, at least according to the odds makers. I mean, look at that. Only plus 186 on FanDuel, as high as plus 200. So George is not a significant underdog. He's going to be very motivated to win this fight on his home soil. And it's a risky fight to take action on. Don't believe in Devin. And I don't know, man. He's going to have to show me to get this done. He's going to have to show me. It's going to be tough to go on the road in that crowd, in that setting. And I just don't think he's good enough, man. Just don't think he's going to pull it off. But we'll see. This is his chance. No turning back now. He's made a decision. It's a very big decision. And this could either progress his career to another level, or this could just further solidify that, Devin Haney was nothing more than a DAZN hype job. Y'all let me know what y'all think. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.